One of the harder things to do in Elements is to select people that have lots and lots of hair. Now this is an image of a model that I picked up off the internet, and as you can see, she has lots of hair. It's flyaway hair at that. That would be pretty difficult to select, cut, and paste into another background. Now I have the results of this method that I've been using, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm going to be working with two models. There's my first, here's my second. And I'm going to be working with two different backgrounds just to kind of show you how easy the process is at times and how difficult it can be. Everything you use in this method is pretty much dependent on color, so I'm going to try and see if I can give you as much examples as I can. And I also only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to try and see if I can move as quickly as possible. Now I have about 20 layers here, it's a lot of ground to cover. So I've went ahead and completed some of the steps. So I'll go ahead and get started. And as I said, that's the first model. This is the second model. And here there's the results of the first model in this is more of a natural background. It's a beach background, and as you can see, the results are pretty good. I'm going to zoom in under here just to show you what the hair looks like. And as you can see, the hair is in decent shape. The color is a little off, but that's fine. You can still see individual strands, and I thought it did a decent job. Let me just zoom back out with my control minus here. Here's the second model in that same background, and again, as you can see, the hair is in decent shape. It looks relatively natural, and again, I thought it looked pretty decent. Alright, that's the first background. Here's the second background with the first model, and this is more of an abstract background. And as you can see, again, the hair looks pretty decent. Alright, and you can still see individual strands. There's the second model in that background also. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these images, start from scratch, and show you guys how I did that. Alright, now the first step of the process, obviously you're going to start out with your model here, and the first thing that you want to do is to make a cutout of this model. And to make a cutout, you go ahead and you do your normal selection method. You want to make sure you have a nice clean edges, because you're going to be using this image throughout the process. Alright, that's what the first one should look like. And again, you're going to do everything except here. That's the second model, and again, I've done everything except here, and nice clean edges, so on and so forth. And again, you're going to be using that throughout the process. Now, as soon as you make this cutout, the second step of the process is to go ahead and define it as a pattern. And to define it as a pattern, what you do is you're going to go to your edit menu, select that. Define pattern is the 13th option down. Go ahead and select define pattern. It'll ask you for a name. You can give it any old name that you want. That's not really important, it just wants a name. I'm going to call this pattern number 1. Select OK. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second model. And I'm just going to go edit, define pattern, call it pattern number 2. Select OK. Once I've done that, I'm ready for the third step, which is to immediately fill in that layer. And that's what your first model should look like when it's filled in. And to do that, all you do is you just go to your eyedropper tool, sample in the colors around here, go down to your paint bucket, select a new layer, and then place your model on top of that layer that you just filled in with the color, and then select Control E to merge those two layers. That's what the second model should look like. Alright, and once you've done that, you're actually ready to begin the process. Now these are the two backgrounds that I'm going to be using, and as I said, one is abstract background, and the other one is more of a natural background. It's the beach background. And once you have the model filled in, place your background on top of that model, and select both layers, and just go to your background layer, go to your layers palette, double click on that, and then just use your mouse thumb wheel to just cycle through the different blend modes. And you have 20 something blend modes, and normally you can pretty much find a blend mode that will give you a decent result. And I'm going to choose darken here. My opacity is 100%, and I'm going to choose darken. And as you can see, it's not bad, and I mainly focus on her here. And as you can see, the hair is still pretty much intact. I'm going to go ahead and choose this, and I'm really not worried about these areas here because I know I have my original pattern, and I can always bring the model back. So I'm going to go ahead select this by choosing Control E, merge those two layers, and then I'm just going to go down to my clone stamp, select pattern stamp tool, and then just go to my pattern picker, and I'm just going to choose pattern number 2. I'm going to select normal, set my opacity at 100%, and then I'm just going to paint out those problem areas, which is this area right here. And as you can see, it's pretty simple process. And there it is. Now once I have this pattern, I do have some other options. I can go ahead and define this as a pattern also if I want to go ahead and play with the image. Just go to edit, define pattern, call this pattern number 3, switch to that pattern, and then just go to any of the blend modes that you like. I can use overlay. I'm going to go to overlay just to show you what the effect is. And I can just paint in the areas. I can do the entire image or specific areas. Don't worry about your model because you can always bring back the original colors. I'm just going to undo that because I think you get the gist of what it is I'm doing. For the second image, it's pretty much the same for the second background. Alright, you're going to go ahead, place that background on top of the model, and there she is right there. I'm in my multiply blend mode, and again you can just double click on that layers blend mode, cycle through the various blend modes until you find something that you like. I'm going to go ahead and use multiply because I think the results of that are pretty decent. Do Control E to merge those two layers, go back to your pattern number 2, and any other problem areas. As you can see, some of the stuff went in her hair, so on and so forth. And I'm just going to go to my pattern, select normal, leave my opacity at 100%, and I'm just going to paint out those problem areas. Bring back our original colors. And again, the process is relatively easy once you have defined those patterns. Finding correct blend mode, as you can see, it took about 30 seconds. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and delete that image, and I'm going to go now to my first model, and I'm going to do the same thing with her. There's the beach background. I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to use soft light on this because I think the results are pretty decent. And all I'm going to do now is just work on the problem areas. As you can see, the colors there are a little off, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and select pattern number 1, leave my opacity at 100% and my blend mode at normal, and just blend out those areas. Bring back some of the original colors, get back. And again, it's that simple. Okay. If there are certain problems here with the hair, I can always again blend it out using my original pattern. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and delete this image, and I'm going to now do the last of the background. And this one is a little bit more challenging because the colors are just powering through the image, and I'm going to cycle through the blend modes just to show you the effect. And as you can see, none of these blend modes are giving me the results that I really want. So what I'm going to do now is just to go ahead and define this background as a pattern. So I'm going to go to edit, define pattern. I'm going to call this pattern number 5. Alright, go to that pattern, and then I'm just going to find a opacity that will protect the hair while getting rid of most of the color. So I'm going to go normal at 35%, and I'm just going to paint in that new background. Again, as you can see, it's pretty easy to do, and again, it's not doing too much damage to her hair, and of course I'm making sure that I don't go in too much, but that's basically how you do it. Okay, and now I'm just gonna bring the model back. I'm gonna go to normal, change my opacity to 100%, and just bring the model back. Okay, alright. So again, the process is relatively easy. If you have problems, just go ahead, define your background as a pattern, lower the opacity, and blend it in. Now I'm almost out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Now if you'd like, you can make this a pattern also, and I'm going to do exactly that. Edit, define pattern. I'm calling it pattern number 6. Go to that pattern, change my blend mode. I'm going to try multiply, and I'm just going to paint it on in. Alright, and you can do any one of the blend modes that get you the look that you want. And again, you know, the process is relatively easy, especially with this type of image, because it's basically the same image, so you don't have to worry about destroying any of the pixels. Now I'm almost out of time here, so I'm going to have to wrap this up, but I'm sure you guys get the gist of what it is that you're doing. You're using the blend modes initially. If you run into a problem with a particular background, just go ahead and find another pattern and then just paint it in. I want to thank you guys for watching. I've certainly enjoyed making this video, and I'm sorry if I'm going too fast to explain all the problems and issues that you can run into. I'm going to do a second video, and definitely rate, send me your comments, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos along this line. I have time for one more thing. I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see the effect that it has on the hair, and as you can see, most of the hair is still pretty much intact. So you know, go ahead, experiment, play around, and thanks again for watching.